that sounds like Christmas. Righto, money miners. I'm just excited. Last week, and it is the festive season.
Last daily show, this one.
It is.
Last one for the year.
Mate, we've got bloody fundy predictions coming up. We've got another one of the, let's just tout the best resource journalist in Australia, in the world, is coming on at the end of the week. It's all go. Mate, what a year in 2024 in the mining industry. Mining industry's not made possible without these on screen here, boys and girl, the drill rigs. And you're looking at a K-Drill one in action. Have a look at, mate. RC and diamond holes have created the past, present, and future of the mining industry. And as it says right here, sample matters. Thank you, K-Drill, for being the best sampler in the industry and up there as well as the best RC and diamond driller in the industry and our longest ever partner.
Sample does matter.
Big thank you. Go K-Drill.
Go K-Drill.
Merry Christmas, K-Drill.
Mate, there's no
Drooper, I'm thinking of you, mate, because I'm drinking.
there's no mines without drilling, and there's no money mine without our great partners like K-Drill. So
There's no money in mine without mining.
Fatty, what are we talking about today, mate?
circular reference.
I'm not talking about much. You're going to talk about Rio, Rio's big lithium bet.
Yeah, Ali, you've got a. What have you got? I'll let you
We're
describe
doing our internal performance reviews live.
Externally.
Externally.
Interesting. Very interesting
For
choice.
a bit of fun.
And Ricardinho.
Yeah, a bit of a I wanted to just kind of look at how the year went for a bunch of the stocks that we follow, who outperformed, who underperformed, and what do we make of the year that was for the equities that we follow.
Should we put some, just do, my segment could be, let's just do wild predictions, which we do every month anyway. 'Cause it's like, when I've got nothing to talk about, I'll just talk about shit that might happen never. Yeah, might do that. Righto, JD, take her away, mate. Rio doubles down on lithium.
Yeah, I thought
Argentina.
why this one really stood out to me is because I think this is how the public and how investors will reflect on Jakob Stausholm's tenure when we, look back on it in 5 or 10 years' time.
Don't know what the reflection's going to be, positive or negative yet.
That's an open-ended question, isn't it? But if you just look at the quantum of the bet, so they press go on a US $2.5 billion investment in Rincon on Friday. That's come not long after a US $6.7 billion acquisition of Arcadium, yet to be finalised, but looks by all accounts like it's gone through. Vote on the 23rd of December. You've also got US $825 million being spent when they bought Rincon. That completed in early 2022. Plus, US $330 million has been invested in Rincon's starter plant, which is not yet complete. On top of that, you've got all the M&A that they've done working on DLE and other sorts of technology, not to mention Yada, which they have owned for the best part of 2 decades now. And I would hazard a guess that they've spent hundreds of millions there as well. So well over US 10 billion, well north of 15 billion Aussie dollars invested in lithium in, most of that has come in 2.5 years sort of time, three odd years time between 22 and where we are today. So that's why it really, really stands out to me. And, you put that in the context of none of the other majors doing a similar sort of investment really makes it intriguing from my perspective.
And is there been cases previously where BHP and Rio have had such differing views on a commodity?
Well, you've got potash is a big one currently going on that BHP have gone pretty hard at.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, BHP didn't match Rio's investment in aluminium and through Alca, not to that extent. Like there was a lot of guesses at the time that they might have a swing, but
BHP went big on shale, oil and gas.
Yep.
Rio didn't. On the flip side, Rio via its acquisition, I think of CRA, has had a pretty healthy mineral sands kind of portfolio. BHP's never done that. There are examples, yeah.
They're the ones that sort of stand out.
And so and sounds like a bit on both sides where they've gone big on things that haven't worked.
They've each got their fair share of losers.
Yeah.
And
the thing that is, obviously just being the cash printer for both of them has been the bulks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll run through the Rincon investment to start with quickly so we get a bit of scope on this one. But essentially, like I said, $2.5 billion US to expand it. It's a 3,000 tonne per annum lithium carbonate equivalent starter plant right now. They want to go to 60,000 tonnes per annum. That is, north of 400,000 tonnes of SC6 equivalent for us folks in WA that don't understand brines. 3 years of construction, then 3 years of ramp up. So this isn't going to be at nameplate capacity for quite some time. It's a brine project, obviously, but with heavy reliance on DLE, which I'll get into in greater detail in a moment. It's no surprise that they've done it. They've spoken about this for quite some time. Just a couple of weeks ago at the investor seminar, Jakob said they're going to a board meeting, I think somewhere in Canada, and all indications were that this was going to go ahead. They claim to have increased the resource since they made the acquisition almost 3 years ago by 60%. So they're talking about 12 million tonnes of lithium carbonate contained within Rincon, and then of course you look around in Argentina when the Arcadium transaction completes, and they'll have quite a few projects in Argentina there. But this asset alone will have a 40-year mine life. And can't leave out the fact that the RIGI policy that the new Milei government in Argentina has put in place has been a decent factor in this investment going ahead.
What are the concessions of that policy that are so attractive to the...
So the two ones that stand out are corporate tax rate dropping from 35 to 25%. You've got, for the sort of finance folks, accelerated depreciation, which helps with the payback period and all these sorts of things. And, to get this over the line, you had to invest more than $200 million. So that they're available to everyone there. Hence, we're seeing BHP and others get attracted to them. And then the other key one is the foreign sort of exchange controls. A problem for a long time was not being able to get the cash out of the country, and the government has sort of relaxed that to incentivize foreign investment in Argentina.
Super interesting, mate. Yeah, what do you make of Rio's kind of Argentinian lithium future?
It's pretty fascinating. I'm no expert on all their projects there, but it has been sort of said to me that Rincon's not the best project that they have there, although they don't have their hands on the other projects yet. But I'll just flash up this map and you can see they talk about having 3 what they call super sites. So you can see Rincon, and then you can see to the north Olaroz and Cauchari, and then to the south of that Sal de Vida and Fenix. And I think on the margins it's positive that they're in 3 different provinces. I think that helps with not having too many eggs in one basket, with all the eggs already being in an Argentinian basket, but you can balance at least sort of provincially those 3 against one another. But yeah, it's a big bet on Argentina.
Where is Atacama, the big ones, the Albemarle SQMs, they're west of that. They're on the Chile side, aren't they?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So they're on the other side of the Andes to those ones that we can see, obviously with just Rio assets / Arcadium assets being shown in that map, but you've obviously got a host of other projects in the region.
And JD, this project you said will rely pretty heavily on DLE tech, right?
Yeah.
So how's that all going to work, given that's sort of still quite nascent at this stage and still getting proven up?
Yeah, a heavy reliance, Ali, on proprietary DLE tech, which you don't get an awful lot of colour on. They're not forthcoming because they want to keep it proprietary and to themselves. So, it's novel. It hasn't been done at any large scale, and it's kind of intriguing. They've got this starter plant that they talk about that's not even completed yet, but they've got a level of confidence to press go on a much bigger scale. So something must be going right. Also hard to say how much of that came in, with Arcadium. Again, not even completed yet. So it seems like this has come from the Rio side of things, or perhaps they've got confidence that Arcadium plus the technology that they've advanced will get them to a level that they're comfortable with. But this is not technology that has been run at a sustained period of time producing battery-grade chemicals. The starter plant hasn't even produced battery-grade chemicals. It produced its very first lithium just last month and will be completed in the first half of next year. So, yeah, there's heavy reliance on DLE for this project, and there's not a lot of clarity. There was an assumption I remember learning about last year that DLE would have quicker ramp-up times. They give us a 3-year ramp-up, but I don't know if they're at 85% within 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't know how gradual that ramp-up is. So I think it's fair to say that it hasn't won over everyone. If you look at various sort of reports and equity research reports out there, you can see a lot of people are marking this down, marking it at book value, not ascribing too much value to it. I mean, on the kind of positive side, when we spoke with various people in the lithium sector last year, I remember a lot of people being very skeptical that DLE would be around in a big way 2030. I do kind of have a gut feel that skepticism has waned to an extent. It does seem like there's been some sort of breakthroughs. I'm not sure if you guys have a different sort of gut feel on that, but this is a big investment to be making on a reliance on DLE. It does seem like it's going ahead here, plus other sort of positive news in China with what they're doing out there. But yeah, it seems like it'll be a factor pre 2030 in my eyes as we stand.
Is this DLE purely because of climate, this area? It's not amenable to evaporation?
I'm not sure if I'd say purely. I guess you'd want it to stack up on economics first and foremost, and then you have the added benefits of using way less land, less water, all these sorts of positives that come off the back of it. Water security in that part, water's just not that abundant. So if you can get local communities on board, all these things by using less of it, but yeah, you're developing DLE because you think there's going to be an economic benefit from it, right? That's first and foremost what you're doing, and maybe part and parcel that comes with using less water, using less land, being able to get approvals through quicker. That improves the economics of a project, simultaneously. So kind of goes hand in hand with one another. But
it reminds me, in concept wise, reminds me of North Parks for Rio, in terms of North Parks. I think it was the first block cave mine in Australia. I think it was the first block cave mine that Rio did.
That's
so
right.
that was there. Then they did the Argyle one. Then that led to Oyu Tolgoi. And I think it's a similar concept they'd be using with DLE. It's like you have to start at some point, learn, and then
Iterate.
years and years down the road and look at what asset and the knowledge they have of block caving now that goes into Oyu Tolgoi from all the previous operations that they would have spent a lot of money on. And I think DLE will run a similar course for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to start somewhere. There's another benefit I didn't even mention, but the expectations that recoveries are way higher. So you get way more, sort of bang for your buck when it comes to your resource, the brines that you're pulling out the ground.
Yeah.
There's an expectation that recoveries sit around 80% plus sort of level, as opposed to 50%-ish with a more traditional evaporative pond. So all goes hand in hand, and that, again, improves the economics. So, continuing on with that theme, let's sort of talk a bit about what the actual economics of this project. Very simple, capital intensity, US $44,000 per tonne if you use a $2.5 billion number and a 57,000 tonne per annum operation, which comes in, compared to a normal pond, high. Compared to what people expect for DLE, there's the expectation that CapEx is a bit higher, but hopefully your OpEx, i.e. your place on the cost curve, is a bit lower.
That's the way it is with all DLE. Sorry, with all brines as well. They are high CapEx intensity, but you have such low OpEx that it's
Ideally offset it.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you need to get me to get my payback spreadsheet back out for that? Just
Corporate finance meeting.
mate, it's there ready to go. Saved in the templates.
In terms of the overall CapEx for Rio, doesn't change things, and that is something that investors have been laser focused on. They talk about sort of $9.5 to $11 billion CapEx this year / next year, and importantly, if you look at the sort of chart that we'll show now, you can see the breakdown. They'd flagged $3 billion in growth capital for FY25. Obviously, that's not all going to be Rincon next year. It'll be spread over a few years, but that is factored into it. But looking at Rincon's overall economics, again, it's super hard, and I wish we could do it with more detail. But it being Rio, they don't have to reveal too much of the detail here. But using some basic sort of assumptions, and I'll borrow a bit from what RBC put out here, but if you assume a C1 cost base around what Olaroz has, plus your standard royalties, 5%, again, that's a sort of factor of Rigi. They've standardised the royalties. a bit, and your normal sort of G&A expenses, realization costs that you see in that part of the world, plus a 3-year build, 3-year ramp up, you're getting an IRR of 15%, NPV of US $4 billion. So not knockout, with the key assumption being US $15,000 a ton lithium carbonate equivalent pricing. So
What's the
I don't-
pricing today, JD?
closer to 10.
Close to 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if that really helps anyone because there's so many assumptions going into that and nobody knows what the price is going to be in 3 years' time. But Rio have to plug something in the model to get a bit of a feel for it. And that's what they've kind of gone with. So it's no knockout, but again, Rio aren't targeting those massive knockouts. You know, the band is a bit tighter. The IRR is usually sort of in and around that 20% plus kind of range. And
What they want is super long life.
exactly. And 40-year life is what we're talking about here.
So this proprietary DLE technology, quote unquote, does that mean they can then sell this technology? They will be if it works, they own the technology and the process.
Fascinating point, mate. What would you do? Like if you are positioned lower on the cost curve because you've got it, that puts you at an advantage to everyone. Yeah, you run the risk of selling it out and someone's just going to sort of backsolve what you've kind of done in a way. You know, that's the kind of way that the tech world works in a way. You'd have to price it appropriately or you just try and reap enough rewards from your own project and not sell it. And,
Don't flatten the cost curve.
yeah.
But what's the defensibility of it? Proprietary technology can't, that's who's ever got the most money in court, isn't it? If someone else wants to get their own process.
Oh, that's not going to help you if
who owns cyanide leaching for gold?
There's different sulfide heap leaching technologies out there, all kind of competing for the same pie in the copper world. Who have proprietary tech. I also think with DLE, it's unlikely that you'll have like this proprietary technology as a cookie cutter for other operations. Like from what I kind of understand, it's going to be super bespoke to Rincon this tech.
Yeah.
And then, you know, some other asset's going to have super bespoke tech, which might impact a different part of the flow sheet slightly. And so they still call it DLE, but there's a lot of variability in this stuff.
100%. Let's not forget, like DLE is a catch-all phrase. There is lots of different DLE technologies out there, all utilizing various sort of technologies to extract the lithium. Could be focusing on different sort of parts, but it is, you know, there's what Sunresin, for example, are doing is going to be very different to what Rio Tinto are doing. So
and the cost advantages, at least of what Arcadium are doing, like I think they still have to pre-concentrate in ponds. It's not like you just, you know, went straight into the aquifer and happy
Just
days.
jam her in.
These massive cost of you still have to, you know, you still have ponds and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, they claim to be using some form of DLE since the 90s or the early 2000s in Argentina. So it might not be the sort of conception that we have of what DLE is. That might be quite different going forward. But yeah, in terms of just making that process of getting the brines out and getting the lithium out of the brines, you know, there's tech that is used along the way already. It's just a question of to what degree is that tech used.
This sounds like a potential 2025 rabbit hole to go down to fully understand DLE and as a holistic and what are the subsets of it.
Yeah, you wonder how much the WA hard rock producers are looking at it. You know, obviously all you can do is really focus on making your thing as good as possible. But I don't know, maybe BHP have done a bit of work and that's what sort of put them on ice on lithium as well, thinking that cost curve widens, is not as steep as people think because of DLE. That's one possible risk.
Might be really steep at the back end.
Iron ore. That's what Rio would be hoping, isn't it? Yeah. We'll sort of see. So I mean, I think for Jakob Salzam to reflect on the overall bet, there's a fair bit of risks. I mean, first and foremost, that they haven't even finalised the water permits at Rincon. That'll be something they need to knock out. They've got it to sort of 50,000 tonne per annum capacity. They need to just get it over the line. But yeah, you know, your big risk, tech changes, does sodium ion start dominating some parts of the the electrification of transportation sector, who kind of knows the cost curve. That's probably the biggest risk out there. Argentina is a risk. It's not been the stablest country over a long time horizon. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I find it fascinating because you're running a company like this, and you've got to take a view. You know, you can't just do nothing. There's always going to be risk, and it's so interesting to me that Rio have gone with this one, and all the other miners kind of haven't. And you know, that could end up with them having a glowing, low cost business, or it could end up being a whole lot worse than that.
Yeah.
You guys got a gut feel on how this one goes?
Points to him, I think, like early days. But, mate, you could just see how many Arcadium shareholders were super upset. Like, he's picked up pretty strategic assets, bottom of the market. You can't always do that. You know, it's certainly counter-cyclical M&A. Like, time will tell whether that capital could have been allocated better elsewhere. But you know, it's an industry where you have to take some risk sometimes, but you want to minimise the downside when you do take those sorts of risks. I think points to him so far.
I think, well, let's think of every scenario. If they become a dominant player in the lithium industry, there's like, the world needs lithium. So if they can be the lowest cost producer, they will survive. And if lithium has these spiky points and they're a really big, wouldn't say it. They're a first mover on DLE by the sounds overall. Like if they're going to be the one that really
in size,
in size, and if it is bloody a bit volatile, they're bloody those peaks, and they embed themselves in the lithium industry, and they've got scale. They're going to make a shitload of cash in whatever period that's for, and they can control the industry. So it's, I think, being that first mover might be beneficial for them.
Yeah, it's just fascinating
Because we don't know what's going to happen.
No, I mean it's like it's counter cyclical on lithium, but then it's it's that added layer of taking a bet on this sort of very, quickly kind of developing new technology as well. And geez, if you get both of them right, far out, what a great call to make. But there's obviously still a fair bit to play out. But that's fascinating.
Long-term view, you can't be short-term when you're Rio, right?
No.
Things only going to start in 2028. So
yeah. How much? How big are they going to? You say Arcadium and this combined.
They're talking about 225,000 tons of capacity. They put in their chart by
of carbonate.
Carbonate.
So what time's that by? Is it 6, 7?
Yeah, 7+ ish.
So what's that? 1.4 spot equivalent. 1.5 million spot equivalent.
They say that by 2028, but that includes 60 from Rincon, which I found a bit puzzling because it's, capacity, but it's not actually producing that by 2028. You've obviously got the ramp up period, but maybe there's some sort of growth with Olaroz, other sort of assets that they have there. Who kind of knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll be dominant player in the lithium market in a few years' time.
Very good, JD.
Very good.
Thanks, Ali.
If you would you work in the Argentine desert, JD? Would you want to follow Rio on their lithium expedition?
Pretty beautiful part of the world.
Mate, altitude, mate. A man with your lungs, I reckon you'd handle it.
I've heard
And
Buenos
your
Aires is
fitness.
quite nice as well, mate.
Well, mate, if you want to hit them up for a job, go ahead. If working in Argentina, the altitude is not your cup of tea, why don't you stay at a low elevation and be a MC side tipper driver for Saltbush?
Breathe easy.
Breathe easy.
They just have the window down, just suck in that beautiful WA air at low altitude, and you can be just fine driving one of these beautiful machines. Can you think of the fact that you can picture this for a perfect day? You can drive these trucks and check out the beautiful arid wilderness of WA and get paid for it. Go around the state.
What a good deal.
Moving dirt.
You'd almost do that for free though, wouldn't you?
It's so funny that I wrote I would do that for free.
You would. You would.
I would.
It'd be a privilege.
Mate, best dirt movers in WA, and that's hauling dirt from shit point A to shit point B because the client doesn't want to do it. It's just too hard. So I'll do that. Mate, earth moving, just building roads, dams, equipment crusher feed, rehab. Just pick a word from the mining dictionary. Saltbush do it.
they do it.
Merry Christmas, Saltbush.
Thanks very much, Saltbush Contracting.
Go
Good on
Saltbush.
ya.
How good's it, people?
Thanks very much for doing all the shit stuff.
Exactly. They just handle everything for you.
Oh, shitter the better.
Go Saltbush.
Rightio, next up, reflecting on 2024.
Yes.
Yes.
24. Yes. I just thought I'd just look back a year a little bit. Maybe even quiz you guys. I hope you didn't look at the answers ahead,
No, I
ahead
didn't.
of
I
time.
definitely did not.
What do you reckon the best performing commodity year to date was?
By percentage terms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon one of those weird ones.
I had this conversation with you last week, so I'll sub myself out.
You're eliminated.
I'm going to go bauxite
I had that in my head.
Kind of close. Yeah.
or alumina.
That's for a mainstream commodity. That's a pretty good guess. Yeah. Yeah. Ali.
Aluminium.
Aluminium.
While we're on the topic.
No, I thought it would have been bauxite or aluminium as well. I would
Yeah.
say gold, but no.
Yeah. I mean, in relative terms,
Go on.
like, gold had a good year, but it's
Right, give us another guess. Okay, so if it's
Can I give you a
not
hint?
not mainstream?
not
okay.
mainstream.
mainstream.
No, but it's flavor of the month kind of thing.
Antimony.
Yeah. Antimony.
Yeah.
Anti-money.
Antimony up 212%. I'll put up the chart for the money miners. You can have a look. I've done every single kind of commodity I can think of there, and you can just see the full 12-month performance, 16th of December last year to this year.
Wow.
How
Oh,
did
alumina.
they
Fucking
go?
hell.
And yeah, totally. Like you can see there, the bulks came off a bit. You had the bases sort of varied, but not do too much. Cobalt tragic as usual. Gold and silver, stellar years. The rest of the precious, not so much.
Fucking coking coal down 35%.
Wow.
Yeah,
It
and
shows out because it was fucking off its head.
It was elevated, but
Yeah.
like as Alex Campbell pointed out, Mongolia started delivering to China again,
Yeah.
and that displaces seaborne coal from the market, right? And then on the energy front, like pretty, muted impact there. Lithium just fucking catastrophic.
Yeah.
Alumina, bauxite, star performance, like just given the fragility in that market as discussed by Aluminium Allen. And then you've got the rando stuff like antimony, germanium, gallium, like they flew, right? And I think this tweet from Respeculator sort of put it best. He says, the stuff that ramped this year is either stuff China Inc. can't ramp right now, i.e. bauxite, or stuff China Inc. decided to not share with the rest of the world. Antimony, germanium, gallium, etc.
Good one.
Interesting. That's an interesting one.
It is.
Point.
It totally is.
Plus gold.
Yeah. I mean, they're buying. They are ramping that. Central banks, they're buying
In a different way, yeah.
The question I have, so like, look at bauxite and alumina, right? Why do you think it's taking a bit of time for that to flow through to aluminium? Like, obviously that's gone up too, but not as much. So do you reckon that'll probably be more of a next year thing? flowing into
This was
it,
something
or-
we've talked about a bit with Alan, but you had this dynamic where a lot of the smelters and refineries in that industry were constrained as well. So
Okay.
like they're for you bid up the price of bauxite, the price of alumina is elevated, but the downstream sort of smelters wasn't flowing through because you had inventories of aluminium, etc.
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then I thought it'd just be interesting to do lay the land on the resources stocks year to date. Have a look at the relative outperformers and underperformers, like we just talked about. Gold has had a standout year, like spot gold over the last 12 months. What did I calculate? It was like up 31%, which is pretty huge year for gold. If you just look at the ASX gold producers, I've put them all on this one chart, which looks like spaghetti. It's disgusting. But there are two big standouts on that chart. You can see two lines that kind of elevated well above the rest, and that's Ora Banda and Catalyst, both sort of north of 200% up year to date. And then on the flip side of that, Bellevue's down 23%, Alkane's down 20%. And then sort of you've got Gold Road, Vault, Kingsgate, and Newmont. Those ones all underperformed the gold price itself. So for most miners, they've had most gold miners pretty standout year. Massive torque on Ora Banda and Catalyst, as you can see from their share price performances, as at the same time as executing their operationally, and then the underperformers is a big talking point as well. What do you guys make of that?
Yeah, the Alkane's the one that keeps getting mentioned as like, why wouldn't you buy this? It's so cheap. I wonder how much of it is just the low. All the gold flavour is WA, and it's like this. It's like, is it because Alkane's just this hidden
East
away,
Coast.
isolated New South Wales stock that doesn't get a heap of attention? I don't know. I'm not too in the weeds about the operation enough.
Yeah, I'm not massively in the weeds, but it's not a massive operation. Like they want to expand, they need money.
And they got
Like,
pretty
the
big
road.
capex bill for
Yeah,
that
exactly.
road,
Comrades.
Yeah.
Interesting looking at the GDX just to get a kind of average of the gold miners, up 20% for looking exactly 1 year. So that doesn't outperform the gold price either, does it?
No.
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of
No.
interesting.
No. And that's it's a pretty disappointing year if you're a gold producer and you've underperformed the gold price. I think like
Super disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm actually interested that look, Perseus and WAF and Ding Ding on WAF, they obviously performed pretty well. They did outperform the gold price, but given the cash flow generation, I'm surprised they didn't actually outperform more.
Yeah.
And this is probably the old Africa discount, I guess, but
Yeah, probably. But there's like who? Yeah, I think that the talk was with the marginal producers as well, right?
100%.
Like, and that's where you had big equity. The big change in equity was as you went through the list of marginal producers, they ripped sort of one by one.
Yeah, well, and look, Pantoro, 82%.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
big year for them too, for sure. There's and then on the flip side of like the commodities that had a pretty rough 2024, I think there's a big common theme amongst those stocks. The commodities got hammered. Like, I'm talking like lithium, rare earths, nickel, those ones that have just stayed in the doldrums. What I noticed when I just charted the relative performance of the equities there is the incumbent low cost producers fared okay on a relative basis. Everything else just got fucking smoked. Here's lithium, right? I've charted up, some developers with some producers there, and who fared better than the rest? IGO and Pilbara. They're both
Ding
down
ding
roughly
on
40%.
but
which is
that's
still a lot.
when you talk to like the buy side and say, like if you're going to make a counter-cyclical bet on lithium, like what would you do? They're like, would you go like a if you say, would you go Patriot or would you do? They're like, you don't get cute with it. They go IGO, Pilbara. Like they got the fucking income. They got the most upside.
They're liquid stocks.
Yeah, they're like, and that's so. Yeah, if anyone's betting on a turnaround, that's where the money goes straight away.
Hey, look at the gold producers, for example. Like when gold sort of ripped, which equities led the way? It wasn't the developers. The producers led.
Yeah,
they lead, and then risk comes into the market, and then you go down the chain. The risk curve as a retail comes into the market, which happens sort of later in the cycle rather than earlier. Instos go established producers who are lower cost first.
Yeah.
And then like if I actually put SQM on there, you'd say they fared far better than IGO and Pilbara too. But then you look at like global lithium like down like what is that 86% year to date, which is pretty horrid.
It's different when you go down.
Yeah,
You can't go more than 100.
no, you
Like the up ones are 200 odd,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
86%.
Always got to look on the bright side.
Liontown nearly 60%. Obviously, there was some M&A thing around
It's
that.
funny even when
Delta
you go down,
Lithium 64%.
when you go down 85%, you can still go down another 100%.
Yeah, off that. Yeah.
Rare earths, so it's like kind of a similar thing here. This surprised me a fair bit. Developers smoked. Like look what happened to Meteoric, Viridis, Ionic, for example. They're all down between like 62 and 73% year to date. Linus, would you believe, up 3% year to date, despite that market just being like in a horrid state. And Linus themselves like
It's hardly
where's
like
the
a
free cash
mining
flow
company. It's like a
But to be, I suppose, rare earths. But remember early in the year they were like $43 a kilo for NdPr, and they're back in the 50s now. So it's had a bit of a recovery.
On my numbers, they're like on a 12-month look back basis, rare NdPr is actually down. But yeah, there was the interim. It was lower at one point, but it's still down 11%.
But the Meteoric and VMM and that, they've sort of kept going.
Hammered
Like,
big time. Yeah, and which is super interesting. I think part of that might just be that Sierra Verde effect as well, which is having troubles, and maybe people are rethinking Brazilian rare earths. And then on the nickel front, I thought you'd be surprised to see this. I don't have a chart here, but like nickel price remains in the dunny. Every like ASX nickel developer or explorer has either renamed or sold itself to a gold company or pivoted. Like there's no more nickel companies anymore on the ASX except for like maybe one developer, and every nickel operation ex Nova is like curtailed or shut down and care and maintenance and is not coming back.
And Murrin.
Yeah. But there's an ASX producer up 24% year to date. Nickel Industries.
Yeah.
Again, it's that incumbent low cost producer, which
Indonesia.
totally.
Yeah.
Like big beneficiary of
Plus a decent processing
Mhm.
focus, a portion of the business too.
Yeah.
I think. And can you
interesting
imagine?
one.
I know we talked about whether if Nova was, they just sort of paid it back for the acquisition. But could you imagine if Nova went through a nickel boom, which I don't think it ever did. Like since that, there hasn't been a nickel boom.
Well, in 2022, there was this outrageous price spike around the time of
But
Russia,
That's
Ukraine, and
right.
stuff.
Nothing got
but
sold around it.
yeah, the
didn't it?
money didn't flow through. It was no
Very short.
Because it was all
27.
contracted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no
So I don't-
2007 boom. That
Yeah.
was stuff of legends. That one.
Yeah. So could you imagine if that asset went? So it's going to finish, and it's like it just was 10 years too early or too late. If
Yeah,
you
it's
slid it
interesting.
backwards.
Interesting to think about for sure.
That's that makes me think of like optionality when it comes to
Long life.
mining assets. The ability to be around for more than one cycle. That's why the majors love it so much.
Yeah.
Because if you can get 2 cycles and you can get 2 of those peaks in, or more if you're talking about a multi sort of generational asset,
Yeah.
the returns can be that awesome.
You can make all your money in 1 year sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, Pilbara Minerals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just look at what
The
they
the
went
coal
through.
companies in 22.
Coal companies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look at
100%.
Yancoal.
Yeah.
And like they're just having all that cash on hand, even though they're not as they're more thermal, but thermal
Yeah.
at its spike as well.
Big time.
Yeah, in nickel, like Norilsk, like the asset that they have in Russia, that's been around for generations.
Yeah.
And they were around 2007 when prices went through the roof, although it doesn't help when you go and blow all that money on stupid M&A when prices are sky high as well. But
Yeah.
at least you get the chance to
Go
do it.
Russia.
Yeah.
What about our ramp up cohort, Trav?
I think
How'd
this
they go?
this is a big takeaway for 2024, Ali. Just take a look at the chart of relative share price performance year to date for the cohort of ASX listed, ramp up companies. It's it's basically everything's running downhill is how I describe it, with one exception. Liontown down like more than 60%. It's 55 cents today. Sheffield down 72%. Still a bit to work through at Thunderbird. Bellevue down 24% in a year where gold's roared
Gold's
30%
rising.
plus. Like
Ugh.
Boss down 35. Paladin down 20%. We had Galena unfortunately going to VA towards the start of the year and it stayed there. Strandline's still in VA. Bowen Coking Coal, they recapped to avoid VA, but they're down 95%. True North Copper went into VA and then recapped. Adriatic, the only one that's up year to date. They're up 25%, but it hasn't
That
been.
was after a dive, but wasn't it?
Mate, they've had a roller coaster. It's
Yeah.
like up, down, up more, down more. Like it's but they've finished the year up, and I don't think they're out of the woods yet either. I mean,
And just to
Yeah.
clarify for the money miners, VA is voluntary administration as
Yeah.
well.
No good.
I think,
No good.
I think the message
They
is
call a certain bloke.
the message
Can't
is
say his name.
like if your strategy as an investor is playing the Lassonde re-rate, ramp up never goes like the spreadsheet. Especially in the last few years, it's been a really challenging strategy to back the developers going into production. If anything, the mill has been a truth detector for over promoted, excited kind of scenarios which didn't eventuate. And I just think I think you got to be prepared for the impact that a deviation from the spreadsheet can have to the capital structure of the business and what your returns could be on an equity basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that list there, I think there's a mix of
Commodities too.
like Liontown a commodity because they haven't actually started stoping yet. And they're like, to be honest, they've probably actually performed all right.
Sure,
Milling.
but what was the market's expectation of their costs versus what reality is, right? Because they never put out updated
They don't
costs.
even know yet.
They should. That's not fair, I don't think. You know, you've been producing for, like, to not say you don't know what your
But you
costs
haven't
are
hit
gonna be.
ramp. Like Bellevue's hit full ramp up.
They can disclose what their costs are, if you know what I mean. Like, yeah, I think what I'm saying, all of these companies, the market expected something, and reality was very different to expectations. Operation, like the mill looks awesome, they've delivered Liontown, happy days, but the reality of what the market expected costs should be there versus what they are is very, very different. Yeah,
I think the broader point as well is that you are, subject to so many risks when you're ramping up because you're a company that's not making money. Like that's what it is at the end of the day, and it could be commodity price, it could be you're not hitting nameplate, it could be a whole host of things that you were just not able to defend properly against.
Yeah, I think lithium price and uranium price is way more of a factor than ramp up for the ones that have gone down.
Well, adds
That's
another layer.
influenced the stock price way more than the ramp up.
And the other thing as well is
Uranium's
a lot
up.
of these are single
uranium's
assets
up.
too.
Like,
Not the spot price.
yeah, it's neutral. It's like it was 80 and now it's 77. Like, if you look at my numbers, like that doesn't explain the underperformance of the uranium restarts.
Money come out of the market, but so
Zataprom's up, Cameco's up, NextGen's up year to date.
yeah, I know, but like Boss have met theirs, but Paladin's gone. They haven't met theirs, but they're a different price. It's more. I just think it's more. The ramp ups aren't equal, that's for sure, because they're different times of the ramp ups.
Time will tell, mate. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Alrighty, fellas, too.
They're both the two top shorted companies on ASX. as
Oh
well.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Which,
They don't like
fascinating.
ASX producers.
yeah.
Yeah, real sentiment shift in Australia over the past year on those U names.
Oh, definitely.
Right. To round out the year, I'd like to do our in-house performance reviews on each other,
Good
but,
start.
but live on camera. So, and we'll all participate. So, we'll go through what we've each excelled in and improved on the most throughout the year, and we can also highlight some areas that need attention. As well. Like I said, we all comment on each other. So
I haven't read those, by the way.
No,
I'm just
no,
gonna
that's
let
all
you-
right.
let you
Yeah, I've
fucking-
scrolled up so I can't see them. Let it be a
So
surprise.
we'll start off with you, Maddie. So I mean, obviously the uranium and the metallurgical knowledge has obviously gone through the roof, which has
thank
been
you, Jason.
fantastic. We've seen glimpses of corporate finance and desk, Maddie, as well, which I think's been a very exciting development.
Some payback analysis.
Ever
The
since I met-
payback analysis,
ever since I
flow of
met-
funds.
Ever since I met Tim Bunny at bloody Diggers and he offered a desk job, my deskness has just gone through the roof.
Desk menace. Look
Shout
at
out,
you.
Bunny.
But then I think what needs attention is certainly your unhealthy reliance on ChatGPT.
Well, no, I'm on Gemini now as
You're
well.
on Gemini now.
Yeah,
Good on
yeah,
you.
yeah.
What else? What have you guys got to add?
Well, maybe we shouldn't do each other. We might end up in a punch-up.
Payback period spreadsheets need improvement. Yeah.
I've only done
start,
one.
good start.
I've only done one.
Hey, like Rio, you got to start somewhere.
I'm a first mover on that.
First move. Look at you. Very good. All right, we'll move on to Trav. So, very big A++ on the renovation skills. This, what everybody sees behind you in front of the camera here, is all courtesy of Trav Chippy Ricardinho.
Not the
So,
rest of us, none of it.
absolutely awesome work there.
If the podcasting doesn't work out, carpentry.
Carpentry.
For the future.
And the passion for governance and shareholder activism issues that have been throughout the year has been fantastic. Although I'm not sure if it's a blessing and a curse, and I might have to pass you on to my friends at Bad Boys just to help get you calm sometimes when you get a bit excited. So I will just flash up this video here. There you go.
You are angry. It's okay.
I'm not angry. Except when you keep repeating, you're angry. And that shit's fucking annoying. Like a fucking gnat at a barbecue. Just bugging the fuck out of me.
I want you to say, I'm angry. It's okay. I'll process my anger. I love myself. Woozah.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yes, you do know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Oh, I love it.
Nothing wrong with a bit of woosah.
That stood the test of time. That every time
Oh,
say,
it's such a good movie.
woosah. Oh,
Don't forget your pressure points.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ali.
So no, good work, Trav. Well done.
Positive. Like you did do some positive segments this year.
Things are looking up. Hey, you need the balance.
Mate, are we an IR
Exactly,
company
Nick.
or are we holding together?
fighting for the guys on the street. Well done, the mum and dad shareholders. So JD, and then like this has actually worked out perfectly this episode, but your Spanish pronunciation,
Oh, thank you.
Duolingo paying
Fair
off.
enough.
It's
Yeah.
been fantastic. There's been so many YouTube comments about your Spanish pronunciation. So good
Wait
work.
till we get onto a site visit. It'll come in.
Oh God, it'd be amazing. So even that the loan office plan is still live thanks to JD as well. So you guys will often notice when JD's in Melbourne because the plant looks pretty dead, and then when he's back, it looks a bit more alive. And you've been really getting around the ads this year too. It's been awesome.
It came from an extremely low base with Maddie doing 100% of the ads.
And you never wanting to do an ad ever in your life.
And now I probably do about 5% of the work there. So
So that was definitely an area that needed attention, which you've started to address.
I
which is
love the
fantastic.
sponsors, Ali.
But I like JD. He gets his hands involved. He's like he asserts. He does an
full
assertion
sends it.
now, which validates what he says. And like there's my ad fucking feedback.
Gotta put
And
the
it's
fist
just
on the
that-
table
it's
at some
just
points,
I just
Matty.
know, I just know you're serious, and I just take it in. I love it. Good work,
That's
JD.
Good work.
Do we have to drum up one for Ali now?
Oh no.
On the fly.
Oh,
Jesus
stand out,
Christ!
yeah, Ali.
Bloody-
Yeah.
let the-
You've gone full time money of mine. You've got
Yeah, that's been a
you've
highlight.
you've
That's
gotten
been fun.
engaged and you bought a house. Like I just there's not much more to say. You
And
just have to
she
go, yeah.
organises my life. She said, like, literally, the WhatsApp chat is these dot points, business ones, but 95% of them relate to me, and it's so good because I'm like, oh, sweet, I will do all those things, Ali. Thank you very much.
Frankly, I'd hate to see where the business would be without Ali. We'd be
Oh, you
buggered.
guys.
Please continue telling me what to do.
All right.
Room for improvement. All commodities other than gold.
Oh, I've been dabbling a little bit here and there. I've been dabbling a bit here and there. Actually, I have to say one thing. I feel like I've been chipping away is definitely trying to articulate myself better in front of camera, like because it is a bit of a confidence thing and trying to like sound real smart and stuff. But this hilarious YouTube comment I still laugh at. Where I think I was doing a segment, you guys asked me like a great question, but like I needed to really think about it. And the comment was like, Ali is buffering at 15 and 4 seconds or something. Just the brain was working overtime. So no, we're getting there. So that's been good fun. And lucky last, to round out today's episode, our last daily show for 2024. What have been each of your, and we'll go around the table, each of your highlights for 2024 Money of Mine this year? And what are you looking forward to or your New Year's resolution for next year? Who wants to kick off?
I thought the week we had in Sydney back in May was bloody fantastic.
That was a ripper.
I mean, the fact that we got to speak with, I don't know, like 10 odd fundies, interview them in a week, every evening. We got to catch up with wicked people in the industry that were open to chatting with us. It was a super fun and, jam-packed, educationally and fun-wise week. I reckon that was a good one.
Diggers and dealers. That was the
Am I
best
surprised?
bloody week of my life. I'll probably be better behaved next year, but that was like, but just to be in, that is just my favourite scenery in the world with fundies and miners
Just
all in
everyone
one
there.
place. That was the best week of my life. And my biggest achievement, I am now day 3 of no vape.
Good on you.
And no nicotine. And I got off the...
no
'cause
patches?
No, well, I tried patches, but I couldn't get off the patches because I'm like, I'll have to get rid of nicotine at some point.
Oh, fantastic. Good
I
on you.
got on the tablets I
On a
used
health
to take.
kick.
Yeah, I had the
The
thing there, they
chewies?
look like...
The chewies or the...
No, they're these. They taste like vitamin C. Quit stop now.
Gotcha.
Fucking, mate, if you want to get off the vape, yeah, it looked like I had bloody. I don't know. Everyone. I was surprised YouTube comments for the Friday one. They'll be like, "Wonder what's in what tablets if he's on the blue pills or something." Matty can't get it up. But no, so
Just with the vapes.
just to make it about myself.
Ali, you got a highlight?
I had the Sydney 24 trip in May as a highlight. I really enjoyed that. It was just great to I think that a more general highlight, I think, has been, and it is a privilege, to the access to really interesting, highly intelligent people with amazing insights that we get to have as part of being in this business. I think, especially for a young person, it's been so humbling and such an awesome experience, and just have learnt so much by getting to, speak and interact with these people. So that's been a huge highlight for me, just as a general one for the year.
Absolutely.
Oh, I can't top that. I don't go that entirely.
What are you guys looking forward to next year? In Darba for me.
I think I know
down
what
there.
you guys are looking forward to.
So pumped for.
Yeah, visiting more mines, learning more about mining. I want to get very good at understanding geology, which is a bit of an aspirational goal. But I want to be able to assess an ore body on my own merit, not rely on a geologist interpretation.
I want to know more geologists so they can do it for me. If you're a gun geo, come be my best friend.
Let's work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Love it.
Oh, what's bloody...
Would you love to do a day on the desk?
What's your highest conviction bet for 2024?
Oh, now we're getting into the
highest conviction.
the dart throwing.
25, sorry.
25.
If you're going to buy something today,
It's
commodity
not,
stock,
You're talking like a thematic commodity.
thematic, what you think's gonna bloody, what are we putting our things on the block on?
I reckon you could be.
Perennial sandwich.
I reckon you could be potentially pretty clever with some African gold developers.
Oh.
Obviously, there's varying risks with different countries and different ones, but I reckon that could be an interesting area to look at. It was a more broad thematic, which we've sort of seen play out a little bit this year. Yeah, that'd be mine.
I'm going to go higher cost uranium producers.
Getting the
equities to perform well.
I'm thinking, look what happened with gold. If the underlying uranium thing happens and there is a big spike, which gold has performed the best from that graph before, all the high costers.
especially all these tech companies with the data centers and SMRs and all
It's
of
a
that.
double
yeah.
whammy. It's like uranium has to go up, but who's going to benefit the most? The high cost ones. That's me bet.
Like how we're all playing in our stables.
Yeah. Yeah. Gold.
I'll take the other side. I'm with the shorters. Yeah.
Can we put a carton on
As
it?
your highest conviction or just on that particular one?
And people who go short, they do so much research. They're whenever you've seen double-digit short interest and then be wrong in the last 18 months.
But do you think a
Well,
lot
they're
of
right
that
at the
research
moment
is...
because it's going down.
I have to have a bit of a look.
Yeah, because your downside's unlimited. If you go short, you do so much more research than people who go long in general.
But I guess with that research, do you think you're researching certain things to satisfy your own opinion as opposed to holistic
Or you
research
literally
to
have to
confirm,
short
yes, I
something
am
to,
right?
or you have to short something to
Yeah.
offset the long.
Offset along, maybe.
Both of those are true.
I mean, there is a reason why most short funds have shut down over the past sort of decade or so. Because markets are just constantly going against you.
Yeah.
Commodities have their own kind of niche.
Hmm.
Well, highest conviction bet, be hard, but I'd rest pretty easy with some of the met coal kind of names. I don't know if that's a specifically 2025 thing, but I think, you kind of hold them and in time you'll do well on some of those names.
Highest conviction, diamond price is lower in 12 months' time. Lab diamonds continue to
Oh,
that
Jack.
market.
Settle down here too.
Yeah, because
Do you think the margin? Do you reckon the margin sort of closes between the two? Synthetic prices are way below real diamonds already.
I don't know. Zeminski's diamond index went down 16% year on year. So and that's
Yeah,
for the
wow.
rough diamond index. So I just think that trend probably continues. Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
See what price Anglo can fetch for De Beers.
Oh, we'll do a scorecard of ourselves
Yeah.
that'd
this
be good.
time next year.
It can be like a pod shop if you're
What
down.
was the
you're
other
out.
one? What was the other question? We should do the 4 questions on ourselves. Hold
The
ourselves
most
accountable.
non-consensus.
What's the bet? Dinner. I've already got a dinner against yous with. I better not say that. But there's a dinner with my stock and to your stock.
What's your most non-consensus
Yous are
pick?
up good at the moment. Non-consensus pick. Is it thematic? It's thematic commodity.
Could be anything.
Anything that people aren't talking about. It can be really sort of rogue. It doesn't kind of have to fall within normal plan bounds.
I said it in the later week episode. Bellevue develop tie-up.
Bold.
Yeah,
It's
people
fucking out
people
there.
aren't talking about that one.
Yeah.
I'm buffering, so
Yeah, we
I'll
can-
pass it on this.
I'll need a moment.
I don't know if this is consensus or not, but I think the Chinese mining equities will outperform the Australian producers of equivalent stature. So like your Zijins, your Sina Mines, like those sorts of companies will do better than the equivalent ASX listed co.
From the stimulus, or not just that?
Part of that, part of the regime there encouraging buybacks, and part of their just like ability to deliver projects like on budget, far lower in the cost curve, and do business in a way that we don't.
Non-consensus, pretty beaten up, eaten into the cost curve, which we've touched on a couple of times throughout the year. I think PGMs, to narrow it down, I'll say Platts, or could go more niche and say rhodium, will have a good year. Something nobody really cares about.
Cheers, Trader Ferg.
He did flag that one. Yeah, there's a few companies in South Africa to kind of look at.
I reckon there'll be.
Go there yourself next year, JD.
Yeah, you're gonna have a look yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
I reckon there'll be a bunch more of these bullshit exploration company M&A deals just because of the absolute austerity as far as they've had to kind of endure as far as being able to raise equity to sustain themselves and their projects and things like that. I think a lot more desperado, random, just for the sake of maintaining their own existence deals, I think will happen if the equity markets continue to stay as there are for those real micro nano cap type companies.
It's sort of consensus. I think we
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Go West Perth.
But very high conviction, West Perth.
Right, what was the other one? Was it
Best and worst
commodities?
performing commodities.
Oh, best performing commodity.
Oh, yeah. You just got to pick something random and niche if you want to be a winner.
Oh, the hardest thing's picking by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the volatile one. I've just got to go through my ComSec watch list to see which is which, the commodity ones.
It'll be a small market.
Oh, should we go like just keep it
Keep it mainstream,
big-ish,
sort of.
mainstream?
Okay, let's do it.
That'd be easier. Oh, it's hard to get the bloody. I'm going to go copper.
Good or bad?
Best performing.
Best performing?
And your
Copper.
worst performer?
Yep.
Or worst performing. Gold.
Oh, don't say that.
I'll go tin best and worst cobalt.
I think tin will do well. That's one of the sort of mainstream ones. I think there's potential for that one to go hard. Gold underperform.
Gold
just
was
thinking
iron ore last year.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of what's done well this year as a sort of good starting point, and most things are kind of in the cost curve are not doing too well except gold.
Hmm.
So, yeah, Ali.
That was a good teamwork
It
answer
was.
there, JD, keeping everyone happy.
Yeah. If we're going mainstream, there's 10-ish sort of commods
Yeah.
to kind of pick from or less.
Yeah.
I reckon with what's happening with bauxite and alumina, whether that might flow through to quite positively into aluminium for next year as a best. Worst, Maybe iron ore.
Ooh, the Pilbara killer.
Pilbara killer.
But the interesting one about best performing is like lithium in terms of it only has to go to like 1,000 to be up 25%. Like, which is not much.
Which doesn't feel like a lot, right?
I know, but for
Yeah.
gold to go up, that has to be 5,000 Aussie an ounce to go up 25.
Which feels
25%. So
Aussie.
it's a lithium's the wild card as always. It could just it can go up 25% in a freaking couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So
Volatile.
righto, fuck.
And Bitcoin?
What's
1,200,000.
Has it cracked 100 grand yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
106.
It did.
106.
All the crypto bros are just
Go doggy corn.
loving it. on Twitter. Oh,
Yeah, with Musk in the big house. Keeps going.
Oh, righto, there we go.
That's a wrap.
we're going rogue.
2024.
Except for tomorrow's and the next day's episode, yeah.
A daily show wrap for 2024.
Our last physical effort.
Yep. We've got some crackers coming up tomorrow, the day after, and the day after that.
Yeah, if we keep going here now, I will get so shit-faced. So we need to stop this episode because I'm just going to keep drinking.
Alrighty.
Righto, thanks to the partners, as we said, the ones throughout the year, but the ones that pay for today. Mineral Mining Services. Grounded. Sandvik Ground Support. Don't forget DSI, everyone. Don't forget, shout out DSI. Still exist in our heart. CRE Insurance, K-Drill, Dagesat, Saltbush Contracting, and Get Wet Solutions.
Hootaroo.
Hootaroo.
The information contained in this episode of Money of Mine is of general nature only and does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. Before making any investment decision, you should consult with your financial advisor and consider how appropriate the advice is to your objectives, financial situation, and needs.